a lot of agencies. So agencies is probably one of our, about 50% of our client base. And agencies come to us and say, hey, we have a client and that needs help in these different markets, and then we do that work for them.
Cool.
So basically running a global group. It's definitely fun uh, with lots of actually no, I'm not going to say lots of. I'm going to say with no sleep.
Hmm.
No
No
sleep.
sleep.
It's 24 hours. You're always on. You don't get much sleep. You're always on.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I usually push back and working with international experts. Um, they're very smart. Whoever I work with, we have a couple in our team, but most of our team are US based. For that
Mm-hmm.
reason, I do like my sleep, and I don't want to wake up 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, have a meeting with a team. So
Yeah,
that's one of the challenges when you have to work internationally, for sure.
yeah, that is definitely a challenge. No,
Yeah,
we've got it right because we have people all over the world, so
yeah,
and people in different time zones here. So it's, I'm usually not up on calls super early, but there's always somebody. So we have people in the East Coast that can deal with a lot of the teams in Europe, and people here on the West Coast that can deal with Asia, and of course Central U.S. as well to deal with LATAM and
yeah.
everything else. So it just kind of fluctuates depending on where the client is and what kind of service that they want. Very
Cool.
common. Yeah.
Well, let's just talk about that. Let's talk about the state of uh, international marketing and search marketing. How's that? What are your opinion? What's going on in that area, since that's what you focus on?
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I've been doing this for years. So over these years, you see patterns, and those patterns are focus on Asia, or the next year it could be big focus on LATAM. Next year it could be big focus on Europe. So there's these fluctuations. Usually it's not year over year, it's usually a couple years. It's focused on one big region, and then that'll just kind of either get itself saturated or it gets to a point where the client's happy or they want to move on to different regions. So there's always this fluctuation. I'd say right now, the hottest regions that we're still seeing is the LATAM region.
Hmm.
LATAM is has been the last couple of years probably the hottest area. However, it's starting to change. We're starting to start seeing a switch back over to Asia, specifically China, Southeast Asia, and these markets. So, which is nice because these have been, I'd say it's been about 5 or 6 years, right before pandemic, before
Hmm.
Asia was kind of highlighted. During pandemic, that everything was kind of mixed all over, but LATAM became, this real strong place to do a lot of work in. And when I say work, I'm talking about everything from SEO to paid.
Hmm.
So there are these regional shifts all the time that we have to deal with on the international front, and that's important to note because when we're looking at LATAM, we're looking at a Romance language, Spanish, Portuguese,
Yeah,
English. It's not a challenge. What becomes challenging in Latin America is you have so many countries um, that all speak a similar language, right? But they're their own countries,
yeah,
and that's the biggest problem. If I'm in Bolivia and I search for something, I get some pages from Mexico. If I'm
yeah,
in if I'm in Argentina, I'm searching for something. I'm getting, Colombian stuff. This is a problem because as a
hmm,
user, I'm trying to buy something and I can't buy, something from, Peru when I'm in Argentina. They use a different currency. It just like,
yeah.
it really causes a problem. So that's kind of the unique challenge there. And then you switch over to Asia and you've got the Chinese language or Japanese language, Korean, and different search engines, Baidu, Naver. You have all of these other challenges that is more linguistic by nature. And then you switch over to Europe, and Europe, has so many languages in such a small tight spot. So it's like, you know what I mean? Every
Yeah.
time you execute, you've got to like hit 10 languages all at once
Hmm.
and 10 different cultures. So you're really like, you know, juggling a lot of stuff. So, you know, fortunately right now we're still kind of in the LATAM range, and now we're heading into a little more challenges in Asia. And this kind of gives us a good kind of intersection into, you know, impacts of AI on a
Sure.
global search front. And impacts of global AI. I mean, you have Naver, you have got Baidu. We'll talk about them a little bit.
Yeah,
You
let's do it.
know,
Yeah.
typically these search engines are a bit behind in the innovation compared to what we're seeing that's going on here in the U.S. You know, with Grok, with Gemini, with ChatGPT, of course,
Hmm.
everything. You know, and all the influences of AI being integrated into the search engines, their versions are different. And they are probably a couple years behind, and in some cases, there could be a couple years ahead as
Hmm.
well. Um, so that's been a challenge. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
but
well,
there's also the government regulations. We tend to be a little more relaxed and deregulated, whereas in China, I'm sure there's a lot of
right,
oversight in the regulations.
right. There are a lot of regulations, a lot of issues around regulations, and that causes issues
Yeah.
as well. And these things are so powerful too to process them. Yeah, it's mind-boggling,
Hmm.
and it's just not only on the organic front. The organic front is really challenged because it seems like every other week they're changing the idea of the algorithm and the idea of the search result pages.
Yeah.
You know, can you imagine you've been building a car for so long and just somebody comes in and buys the auto business you're in and just like, yeah, we're gonna change the Chevy you've been working on and make it like a Tesla, and then come back the next week. Oh, we changed our mind about the Tesla.
Yeah.
Let's do a Rivian look. You know, it's just like you're driving me crazy. And that's what you're feeling here in the US. Can you imagine in different countries? Because they're all looking at the US and they're all trying to do their own things at the same time. And it's just like, wow, you guys are really changing everything. And then if you like move on the paid front, everybody's moving into their, you know, Performance Max to Advantage Plus, their versions of it around the world.
Hmm.
And that's AI based bidding, you know, so
Yeah.
it's just if you're not fully into AI, I mean, you've got to kind of get out of this game because it's just
Yeah.
you know, it's not that it's taking over in terms of what the prospect is using. The prospect is still doing simple, going to Google, searching for whatever they need, clicking on whatever they need. It's our world that's in turmoil.
Yeah. Well, yes, it is that, but I do want to kind of play devil advocate here. I
Of
think I think
course.
the, I think that searches are changing too. I go when I go for walks in the morning. I have
Hmm.
my Perplexity app on my phone and I speak to it. Like if I want to like
Hmm.
plan my day, brainstorm like a new strategy, SEO
Hmm.
strategy, sales strategy, whatever. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? I'm no longer searching. The reason I used to search in Google, I would only put two or three keywords because that's what Google forced us to do. But now because of AI, I can actually have prompts and real conversations with
Hmm.
AI, and that's a lot harder to optimize for. And that's I think that's why this quote unquote the sales search results keep changing
Hmm.
in AI. Another thing is that the way AI works is not really a search algorithm like how Google used to be. This is a straight
Hmm.
out statistics. You know, like
Hmm.
I was attending a webinar for one of these MIT webinars, and one of the
Hmm.
instructors were saying, "You are participating in an AI lottery." No, I'm sorry, statistical lottery. That's
Hmm.
the phrase he used. Basically, we don't know what's going to come next. That's why it keeps changing. There's a lot of,
Hmm.
as he learns more, it keeps changing, it keeps changing, it keeps changing. So I agree with you on the thing is that you gotta embrace this AI stuff,
Hmm.
or else. you're just going to be irrelevant. But at the same time, I think our perception of what SEO should be and what a successful SEO KPI should be should change dramatically. It's no longer static algorithms; it's ever changing
Mm-hmm.
algorithm. It's no longer keyword rankings. It's visibility. Like so
Mm-hmm.
I think, and at an international level, different countries, I'm assuming, and this is your area, I'm assuming they
Mm-hmm.
have different adoption with AI. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm Middle Eastern, so I don't think there's much AI going on there with the governments.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
half, like for example, like much of Middle East, the internet doesn't even work properly. So like what is, like or they have, or if it works, they have slow internet. So
Mm-hmm.
how does it all work, and how do we go about that? And
Yeah.
yeah. So any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, first of all, I mean, in terms of there's no double advocacy because we're both aligned at the same thing.
Cool.
It's just like when you look the at Gemini, the future AI mode, the future of what Google is changing, and I think I posted it just a couple days ago on what Google's now testing, which will be the future of their search results pages.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's not algorithm based. It's not blue links. It's not the old, let's focus on a keyword and link building. That has gone,
Yeah.
and it's fine by me
Yeah, me too.
because I've been doing this since '96. I've been doing this forever. I mean,
Hmm.
even before '96, I was working with Yahoo when it was just a project, a
Yeah.
few 50 pages on that thing. It was just I've been in this space for so long, but it's not me like trying to brag that I've been in this space and being this old guy. The point is in the beginning when we
Hmm.
started all of this stuff, we're going back to those roots. We're going
Hmm.
back to the point where what we don't have the data, we don't have the middle core data like we had before on our strategy, right? So a keyword strategy, when you do content keyword strategy, how it's been the last 20, 15, 20 years, it's like, here, let's find out the keywords. We'll find out what's in the middle of the funnel. We'll look at the how many people are searching, how many people are clicking through,
Yeah.
and identifying the keywords, and then we're going to make a bunch of pages with 2,000 words and flood the search engines with it. It's just they've had this, but what if all of a sudden the middle layer, all the data about keywords is gone. There's no more keyword data. And we have assumptive keyword data, and we have a whole lot of no click stuff.
Yes.
If we have no click stuff or zero click stuff, all that is center information. So we have to make assumptions. And what this means is when I say go back to the beginning, that's how we worked. We had to make assumptions. We actually had to make real intent based content.
Hmm.
We had to really think about it. We didn't have an AI tool or whatever to make
Yes.
it. We had to create it with our own brains. And today we're really, really lucky because we have AI tools to kind of help us.
Yes.
AI tools are helpers, but they shouldn't be considered as replacements because Google can easily replace us if that's the case.
Sure.
Our job, if you want really good like results in the search world these days, it's like what you said. It's all about, how do you come across in the overviews? What about the visibility?
Yeah.
It's no longer about click throughs and keywords and
Or in
what my
traffic,
ROI
they don't
is.
have the
It's
blue links. I
traffic.
mean, yeah,
Yeah.
what do you do? Even if you're like, let's say you're visible, but there's no links driving traffic to you. How do you measure success? I mean, that's something where we have to get a little creative reporting that. I don't think there is any tool that does that right now. As easily,
Mm-hmm.
because it is still important for you to be visible, but it may not drive traffic to your website, and
Yeah.
that's the state of union right now, right?
It totally is. It's
Yeah.
totally the State of the Union, and it's just it's good because it just drives it. It goes back to what we should have been doing
Yes.
from the beginning, which is focusing on really good quality,
Yeah.
trustworthy, high authority content,
Yes.
And also like schema. Schema's been around for so long.
And
Why
there's
have
still
I
why we
mean
haven't adopted it yet. Like,
FAQs? I mean FAQs have been. I mean FAQs. That's like this stuff that should have been optimized 10 years ago.
mm-hmm.
And not only that. I mean, you should have your salespeople, customer service contributing to FAQs all day long. FAQs is your company's chat
I'm
GPT.
so glad you brought this up because FAQ and glossary, but mainly FAQ, like a real FAQ, not the ones
Hmm.
that we pull out of SEMrush, which is great, but the customer service FAQs. And for one
Yeah.
client, the way we solved it is by just literally adding transcription to every call,
Hmm.
and then it was a lot more labor intensive before the AI, but now we just dump the whole thing in ChatGPT or another LLMs that I use, Julius AI, and I'm like, hey,
Hmm.
give me all the questions, and
Yeah.
then it's a lot. It gives you all the bits because we have the transcriptions now, but I had to think
Hmm.
outside the box because no one from the client's sales team or customer service team was giving me anything. I'm like, hey, I need FAQ, I need FAQs, I need FAQs. They never
Hmm.
did anything. I'm like, so I talked to the client. I'm like, hey, can we install call tracking so we can? We're not gonna listen to your calls, but we're gonna get transcriptions for optimization purposes. He said yes, as long as you follow all the laws. We did it. And now
Hmm.
we have a good idea of what people are asking. I mean, these are some of the basic stuff that you can do to optimize your campaign. Like, you don't have to like get all like too technical. You just got to get creative. Like, how do I get FAQs, like you said? And that's how
Hmm.
we did it because
Yeah.
they were not giving it to us.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, glad
Yeah,
you're doing that because that's what was going to kind of move the needle. And
yeah,
that's what they are. I mean, if you look at the queries today, they're FAQs. They're like, I'm asked my questions. God, I don't remember the last time I personally been on Google,
yeah,
but all my questions on Perplexity and everything are
yeah.
really solid questions and
Mm-hmm.
deep. They're
Mm-hmm.
deep to me, they're deep to, my world.
Yes.
And so that's what we're facing now. Now people
Yeah.
are going to have a deeper relationship
Just
with search engines more so than they ever had before, and that's actually a good thing. And
yeah. This is a time
you
where
know,
actually you want to think users first because we've been talking about this for quite some time. But there was always with the
mhm,
traditional SEO there was a hack around it. You just had to create a 2,000 word page,
yeah,
but now you
yeah,
actually have to really produce good stuff, right?
yeah, yeah, of
Um,
course.
but then the challenge of international SEO and like how do you do that at scale, like for different languages? Because the way like I speak Persian as my first language.
Hmm.
The way we ask questions is very different
Hmm.
than how you do it in English. English, you start with asking a question. The Persian, you feed it data, then you ask questions. So like,
Hmm.
so how do we capture that? Do we learn all the cultural differences, or we have to like create different agents? Like what are some of your opinions about like how do we optimize content at an
Yeah.
international level?
Well, I mean, there's a couple things here. We'll break it down. First is the tech stack itself, the tech models. The tech models are usually the same, except for Naver and Baidu, other search engines. The way that you do technical SEO uh, is primarily the same, except for maybe some, hreflang, some of the tagging you need to do appropriately. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that ChatGPT and other tools out there can help you a lot with. They can
Hmm.
look at all of your hreflang setup and everything else and be able to tell you, hey, you got this wrong, you got this right, fix it, which is really great. It does a lot of things to make you more efficient. Now, when it comes to languages, this is where there's been also a change, and this is real welcome to my world situation. In my world and how things have been for a very long time is you had used translators, people who do the translation of the existing content. And what we did, which was very unique to us, is we would never allow, we're very anti against translators posting or any content out there posting from a translator perspective. For us, we're marketers first, we're SEOs first, we're paid media guys first, And then we do all of this localization in house, and then we have the translation come in and proofread and do that. Now things have changed and it's opposite. Now we have some really cool tools. One of the tools that we're using a lot of is something that me and Marty Weintraub created together, called O. And that's a Swedish, it's A with those two little dots that's just pronounced that way. Or it could be ah. I always go back and forth, Marty, on the name. I wish it'd be a little simpler. But what we're doing here is we're doing everything. We understand and we study. We use all the tools possible to understand the Persian language, understand the psychology
Mm-hmm.
behind the people that search, how they search.
Mm-hmm.
Every country and every culture, they search differently. Some are more intent driven and some are less intent driven. We
Is
find
that tool
people in.
available yet, or are you using it
Hmm?
internally? Is
Oh,
that
we
tool
use it
available?
internally. Yeah, we use it
Okay.
internally. It's not something that's out there, but we use it
I would
internally.
love to have access to it if you want
Yeah,
to
well,
test it.
just let me know and I'll give you access and we can
Yeah, then
play
sure.
around with it because
With
I'm always trying to break it. Always trying to do something different. And where I've always challenged Marty was I'm like, okay, let's do this. And
hmm
he thought it was kind of funny. It was last year. And I did a presentation on it in Iceland. And I'm like, problem is that I can take a song that a French person cries when they hear it, but
Yeah.
how do I translate that? And everybody's like, it's easy. Just take the French version, translate the lyrics. I go, but you do that, and I did that, and I go, no, now look at it. Looks like a nice song, but it's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
It's not making any English person cry. But what if I actually took this English and really made it to the level of intent, the level of emotional impact that the French person is, and then create it into a nice English song that's meaningful? But I had to get away from the French version of it and turn it into a country song. And that was meaningful. And then I played it, and then it was really like impactful to the audience. They're like, what the hell just happened? And what I'm doing is I am localizing your emotions. That's what I'm doing. That's what's happened. And then just for fun, we took it and then we made a rap song out of it. So it's just like,
That's so funny.
yeah. So it's like I could do that now. I
Yeah.
could take all kinds of linguistic stuff in any language, and I could go right into the psychology of whatever that is in what country, what language, and really, really feel what they're looking for, really understand their intent. And then rather than publish that work, it then goes to the market or the person on the ground to review. So what I've done is I've bypassed translation altogether, which is a monstrous savings.
Yeah,
And I've
I don't like
also,
any of those translator WordPress plugins or whatever.
oh, I
Oh
hate
my
them.
god, when I
They're
read
awful.
I speak to a couple other languages,
Mhm.
and when I read the translation, I'm like, this makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
It
And
sounds
even
like
if
a
you,
very dry robot. I'm like, even if it makes sense, I don't want to buy from you. Like, this isn't.
yeah, you see, that's the thing is you don't even if it makes sense, where you actually as a company go and hire a professional translation agency.
Yeah,
The translation agency is not marketers.
exactly. A
You
good
know, they
example.
don't
Yeah, go ahead, please.
they
Sorry.
don't get what you're saying. You don't get your business.
Yes.
You need to get you. Marketer translators are not marketers. Marketers are marketers. And you've got to have somebody on the ground who understands it. If I'm going to target Iran, right? Say we can target Iran, we can target in the Persian language.
hmm
For me, what I would do, I would first analyze all the cultural dialects and all of the areas within Iran where Persian may be different from one another.
Sure.
We find this in Germany. Those in Munich have a very different way of their version of German versus somebody who is in Hamburg.
Yes.
And they can be really annoyed by some just a certain spelling of something,
Yes.
because you're targeting there. But
hmm
you want to have that kind of level of understanding that, okay, I need to speak to everybody here in Iran. I need to, or I need to just focus on the capital. I just need to focus on these major cities where
Sure.
their level of Persian is different. And
Yeah.
that's what we need. We need somebody who's on the ground. But fortunately, because of all the tools, you don't need the hours that I needed them for with an older client, like a couple of years ago before Chat GPT. It would take me 10 days to
Yeah.
get this stuff done. And now I already have all this stuff done. All they have to do is review it. So my time now has gone from, 10 days to 3 hours.
Yeah.
You know,
My,
that's a lot.
it is a lot. I was actually having this conversation with a friend of mine who also happens to be a client.
Mm-hmm.
He was asking me, how's your business being impacted by AI, and I'm like, well, it's we're becoming more efficient. Yeah, we have had setbacks, and I had to let a couple of people go,
Mm-hmm.
but and I'm sure they found something else. But overall, it's a plus because now marketers can be marketers again. Like let's just
Mm-hmm.
say, for example, you've run Google Ads campaigns since they came out, right? So
Yeah.
like there was a time where we everybody was doing single what was it called, SCAC, single keyword groups, whatever it was. Like
Yeah.
we had an ad group for every keyword, and I found that to be very labor intensive. It was unnecessary. And then we later started creating ad groups per intent, and even then we still had to go through keywords, have different intents, so we have different
Mm-hmm.
ad groups, and then based on different phrase match versus exact match. We don't have to do any of that stuff anymore. Like we
Yeah.
just have to become. We got to focus more on ad copy and ad creatives and maybe strategy, and monitor maybe a little bit. So like that's a good thing because we spend so much time in platforms setting up campaigns and creating this huge list of keywords, where now we focus more on strategy, be more
Mm-hmm.
strategic, and more on creative stuff, which I like because
Mm-hmm.
so much of my time was being spent on setting up campaigns. um,
Mm-hmm.
Second, no, I don't know. I just think AI has a lot of benefits in that regard. Yes, we are losing. No, like another example is I'm doing an audit for someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's a client that used to work for another client. He's like, can you
Mm-hmm.
do another audit for me for on my new job? Is this still going to take 100 hours? I'm like, 100 hours? No.
Yeah.
Hell, I'm just gonna run a screaming frog and dump it in the cloud, and and maybe like 10, 20 max.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
if you want it pretty, 20, 10 hours if you want it like scrappy. So I think AI is really helping us marketers shift back to like really solving problems like you mentioned. Hey,
Yeah.
I don't want to just translate stuff.
Right.
I want to personalize it, I want to culturalize it, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the world is. It's just, it's culturalizing content
Yeah.
around the world. And that's where it becomes, it's hard for a lot of companies to get that
Yeah.
because they're so used to seeing what works here in the US. And they're like, yeah, I could just localize this for Germany and it'll be fine. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's not fine because Germans think German first, and you're not a German company and you sound like a foreigner. And it's
Yeah.
just like, they're like, what are you talking about? It does not working. It works here. I go, because the psychology of the country you're targeting is different than the psychology of yours. And
Yeah.
remember, in our world, intent, eat, it is, or EAT, I always say
Yeah.
eat. It is all about intent, but the intent mindset is different per country. It's different
Sure.
per culture. It's different per language. And that's where it's like, you know, I'm always frustrated at conferences because I'm trying to explain this and
Yeah.
people still come up to me and like, why don't I just use Google Translate?
Oh, it's
I was like, oh my God, did you not hear anything I just said all this time? It's just like, it's so much more complicated. So, what I always tell people is if you don't know how to get into a country, don't translate. Just be English. Because if you're at least English and you target that country and they find you, the users there will respect and they will know that you are English. It's
yes.
disrespectful to try to be what you're not.
Okay.
And you know what I mean? And that's a bad taste, and they won't click on things, they won't like it, and they won't become
I
sales
mean,
or
we kind
leads.
of have that here. We focus so much on brand tone and stuff, and when
Hmm.
something's not within the branding guideline, we push back. Well, other countries are like that too. If you speak
Yes.
outside their norms and culture,
Yeah,
then they're not gonna
exactly.
like it. Yeah, you made me think. I give a lot now. I even give more credit to the translator of international poetry, like let's say Rumi, because
Hmm.
it takes a lot of work to translate that stuff and still make it sound like poetry.
Yeah,
Because like, I mean, this really, it's a profession of itself, right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And
Cool.
so, and that's been the biggest challenge of international search. So one thing I wanted to talk about, let me just check a time check. One thing I wanted to talk about was I had a company, and a company challenged me on something, and that turned into a challenge from Brett Tapke of PubCon,
Hmm.
and it was, how would you create the strategy, an international strategy of a brand who's trying to push their backpacks out, their snowboarding backpacks out to different markets around the world,
Hmm.
and you have zero money and just use AI. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's create this. And so what I did, which could be really helpful here, you think about this. You can do it for this market as well. It's a great tactic. But what I did was I went and I thought about, okay, first of all, it's a snowboarding backpack. I'm gonna have ChatGPT analyze the whole entire world. What are the most likely places where they could not only afford this backpack but have snow and have snowboarders and everything, like buyers that would be perfect for this backpack. So we identified a bunch of crunchy, Japan being one, Switzerland being one, and all of these others. So that was great. But then I'm like, you know what? Why don't I create a focus group, an AI focus group? And in order to create an AI focus group, I needed to take their personas, or at least create the personas of their target audience. But these personas needed to be cultural, right? I needed to have a Japanese persona that was a snowboarder, and I needed to have a Swiss snowboarder. And so what I used was I took psychology classifications. One is the DISC model, and the DISC model is dominance, influential, steady. Um, and I put these together, and I'm like, analyze from a psychology standpoint what each culture is. And it said every culture was a different psychology makeup, just like what we just talked about. And then I'm like, create the entire persona of a snowboarder in Japan with this Japanese psychology built into it. And so finally did that. And then I went to character.ai and actually created the characters. So now I have like virtual humans that have this huge identity, this huge background. And I took all of them together in a room and I asked them, help me create a strategy for your market. What kind of content would be most compelling to you in your market and
Wow.
why?
Very smart.
What would, and then it started creating all kinds of ideas. And then I'm like, I want you to all argue with each other and come up with some other more strategies. And pretty soon I'm having this whole AI focus discussion with all these fake humanoid personas
Wow.
who then created an entire intent based marketing strategy for each of their countries.
Interesting.
And it was just like, it's this kind of stuff that you can just really think out of the box and
Yeah.
use AI to get into any market you want to. But you have to really, really think about how to do it. So it's just like
Yeah,
you just do it.
yeah, but you
You
agree
know,
that we still need that human oversight, right? Because AI
we
can
totally do.
hallucinate,
We
make things
totally do.
up. I
Hmm.
I keep telling a story to everybody. I This is like a real story. As you can see, I love palm trees. I try to plant them in my backyard.
Hmm.
There is a particular one, I forget the name, that only grows in Florida and tropical places. You can't find it in California. I'm like, I want this, because it's red, it's pretty, and I'm like, you know what, I want it. I wonder if any nursery has it. Google didn't returning me any result. I'm gonna chat GPT, and I'm like, does any nursery in Southern California have this palm tree? And it gave me
Hmm.
this weird one in Inland Empire. I'm like, okay, that's, I or no, actually it was in Fallbrook. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know
Okay.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of palm tree growers in Fallbrook, so I believe it. I literally one weekend with my family, I'm like, hey, let's go San Diego area for, and then I went looking for that nursery, and it wasn't even there. It just completely made it up. I
Uh-huh.
asked, there was a 7-Eleven. I'm like, hey, is there a nursery called this around here? It's like, no. So like literally Chat GPT literally made it up. And so you just gotta be really careful with that too, because that's what they're intended to do. They're generative.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so take
Yeah.
everything with a grain of salt, have the human oversight and checks and balances in
100%.
place. Yeah.
That's
Um,
the right summary, Al. You've got it. And that's welcome to my world. And thank God for that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a business.
we wouldn't have a business.
You
Yeah.
know,
I'm waiting for the universal income. That I'm excited about that. I wonder how much.
I hope that. Yeah, that's
I
so
wonder how
not
much they're gonna give us.
that's
If
so
they seem
not
to be
coming.
cutting things back. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Doge
Yeah,
and everything.
I think that's not coming. I wish it would. I know,
Yeah.
I think about it all the time and I'm like,
I'm like early retirement. Ooh.
yeah, maybe in Sweden we can
Maybe
do
in
it.
Sweden, not here. Yeah. Since we are running out of time, if you don't mind spending, if you could just tell our audience where they can find you and all that good stuff, that would be great.
Sure, sure. You can find me. I mean, my website is www.digitalinternationalgroup.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, Michael Bonfils, all one word. So LinkedIn/in/Michael Bonfils, all one word. Connect with me. I love connections. Of course, my email address is always my first letter, M, and then Bonfils, Bonfils, at Digital International Group or Gmail or anything. So you can reach me there. And of course, my number is 714
Oh, you give me
22.
your phone number. Great. Go
Yes,
ahead.
71. Call me anytime or any of your viewers if they have questions. 714-222-0605. I don't pick up, leave a message, or just text me. Often on calls, but yeah, always happy to help. I love sharing ideas. Yeah, it's just the international stuff is my forte, and I love it so much. So anything you can share with me, that'd be great.
I know you speak at PopCon and other places. Any other upcoming events that you're going to be speaking at?
I'm going to be speaking at a play Smash. It's
Oh,
called next. So
where is
Smash
it?
is
Where is
going to
it?
be in Vegas
Okay,
in September, and
cool.
that's going to be all around the psychology stuff that I
Nice.
talked about. So that'll be really interesting. And yeah,
Awesome. Well,
yeah,
Michael, I appreciate your time. I know we both have to go. We should have you on again for future, but I thank you for your time. Really great insights that you provided. Definitely, I learned a couple of things, so I hope everybody else did too.
awesome, Al. Thank you for having me. I
Of course.
appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Take care. Have a nice weekend.
You too.